Hey guys, welcome back to Broken Journey, the podcast. I am your host, Elba. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're having a wonderful day so far. So, guys, this episode is going to be about Mental Health Awareness Month. So, May has various different awarenesses, but today I'm going to be focusing on mental health awareness. I feel that it is important. So many people are experiencing mental health issues. And I think it's important to have coping mechanisms in order for us to be able to survive. So, before I get started, I wanted to share some statistics. Mental health illness in adults, over 20% of American adults, more than 50 million, experience some sort of mental illness every year. And 1 in 6 kids ages 6 through 17 in the US experience mental health disorders. So, guys, sometimes we think that, and I'm going to talk about my Latin community. A lot of the times people say, eso son bobería, eso son tontería, ay, ellos están de chango, ellos están haciendo porque ellos quieren lo que ellos quieren. And to translate that, for those who don't know Spanish, is basically saying that, they're not getting what they want, so they're going to act up. Or those are just, silly behaviors just because they want what they want. And it's not the exact translation. So those of you who are Latinos, don't come after me. I'm just giving an example of what those words are, right? Because I don't know how to translate it exactly. But basically, it's just saying that they're just acting up because they want what they want, or they feel like, if they act up, then they'll get whatever they want. But anyway, I was doing some research and I found building your coping toolbox. And I thought it would be perfect to share that with you guys. So I'm going to give a few tips. I'm going to give a few toolboxes that are on, the list here. So before I start talking about building your coping toolbox, if you feel that these toolbox exercises are not helping you, then my suggestion is that you go and seek help through therapy, right? And again, there is nothing wrong with going to therapy. And at the end of this episode, I will provide some phone numbers and a website where you can go in order for you to get assistance with, mental health. So, everyone goes through periods of hardship and stress, and it's important to take care of yourself and have tools on standby to use when time gets tough, right? A coping toolbox is a collection of skills, techniques, items, and other suggestions that you can turn to as soon as you start to feel anxious or distressed. No one thing is going to work for everyone, and it may take some trial and error, but building a coping toolbox is a great way to be prepared for those times when your mental well being starts to slip. This is kind of like your safety net. So, if you're starting from scratch, here are some ideas that can help you with coping with your mental health. So, the first toolbox is mood booster. Read the story of someone you admire. This is a great idea to be able to see someone that you admire that's progressing and things like that. This helps you to say, if they can do it, I can do it, right? And then what about watching funny videos on YouTube? Those always boost your mood, right? And you can also watch these videos on social media. And there are a lot. When I tell you there are a lot of videos out there that are funny, You can go on Instagram, TikTok, and just look for funny videos. And if you're not in a bad mood and you come across a funny video, save it. So that way you can go back for when you don't feel good, you can go back and start laughing at those videos. And this will help boost your energy. Maybe playing with an animal. Maybe you have a dog or a cat, or, maybe your neighbors have, pets or something like that. And, you can probably go over and play around with the pet. Watch a movie you loved when you were younger, right? Maybe watch something that made you laugh, something that made you smile, something that gave you like an energy boost. Reorganize your room. I know for me, when I have my desk a little unorganized, I get uneasy because there's just too many papers. I'm one who does not like a lot of paper. And so sometimes I get myself into trouble. I'm not going to lie, because sometimes I just throw them out or I shred them because it is just too many pieces of paper on my desk, right? Keeping your desk or keeping your space organized really helps to boost your energy, because it makes it seem like you can just do anything. And you can find anything that you need, right? You don't have to worry about shuffling through a whole bunch of things or moving a whole bunch of clothing or something like that just to get to what you want, because then that will frustrate you even more. So organize your room and keep it organized so that way you can feel better. And then make a list of places you want to travel or things you want to see in your town. For me, I like to go near the water. So I will either go to a restaurant that's near the water or maybe go to the beach for a little bit. Um, Sometimes I'll go to a place where they have like not a carnival. That's telling my age, an event where they have live music and things that you can listen to that helps boost your system, right? And then there's repeating affirmation. Saying positive things to yourself really can help bring calm and, to you, right? Maybe repeat, I believe in myself. Fear doesn't have control over me. I let go of my sadness. I am safe. I am happy. I love the way that I am. I love who I am. I love all the things that I am currently doing, right? I love myself where I'm at the moment. So, those are some of the mood boosters for your toolbox. Then there's another toolbox called Address Your Basic Needs. And some people may think that this is the norm. Some people may think, you know, that doesn't make any sense, right? And I'm going to say the list in a minute. But for some people who are having a mental health breakdown, these simple tasks are sometimes very hard to do, right? So one of them is eating a healthy snack. Eat a fruit, eat something that is going to be better for your body, right? Drink plenty of water. Take a shower or take a bath, right? Maybe you want to get some bath bombs and soak in there for a little while and read a book or listen to, soaking music on YouTube or, some music that you love, and just soak for a little while. Or take a nap. Take a nap, and maybe sometimes when you take a nap, you get back up and you start to feel better, right? Maybe you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Sometimes people don't understand that if you go to bed with, being in a bad mood or having an argument, you wake up the next day and you still have that sense of anger, that sense of depression, so it's important when before you go to bed to try and like listen to something positive or pray before you go to bed, say positive thoughts so you can have that in your subconscious mind. And you know, just work on not being upset before you go to bed. And another thing is brushing your teeth, combing your hair, getting dressed. If you're like me and you work from home, sometimes it's like you want to roll out of bed and that's it, right? And just start working, and then maybe later on during your lunch break, take a bath or whatever. No, what I've learned to do is get up early. While I'm taking a shower, I say my prayers and I start boosting up my system for work, right? So that I can be in a good mood. And not that my job is a difficult job, not that it's a stressful job. I am grateful for the job that I have. Um, but still, you still got to work, you still got to deal with people, and sometimes dealing with certain people can really trigger you, right? Um, and so it's good to get into a good mental health before you start going to work and things like that. So anyway, on to the third coping toolbox, and that's processing your feelings. So, if you are a person who knows how to draw, I don't. But if you do, draw how you feeling, right? Use that pencil, use that pen, whatever it is that you're using to draw something that you love. Draw how you're feeling. Maybe you're feeling sad. Maybe, you have something that's causing you to feel this way, right? Take that pencil and start drawing. Or you can take a pen and create a gratitude list. Reflecting on things you are thankful for can help change your mood, right? A lot of times we like to focus on the negative thoughts and not on the positive ones. So, what I like to do when I'm starting to have negative thoughts is just start writing down what I do have, not what I don't, right? So let's say, and this is an example, um, let's say you have a used car and it keeps breaking down and you're constantly having to get money to fix it. Instead of worrying about, oh, this stupid car, it's not working, it's this, it's that, start saying, this is a temporary car that's getting me to and from work. It's doing its job, and I will be able to get a new car very soon. And that's it. You know, maybe in this processing feelings toolbox, you can rip a piece of paper into small pieces. And sometimes this helps just tearing things up, right? Or maybe vent, right? Maybe call a friend who you can just tell them, listen, I just need to release this anger or whatever the case may be. And if you don't want them to talk, just say, I just want you to listen, right? Maybe sometimes you're just trying to get it out of your head. Now, I will say, if you're going to vent and you're venting to the same person all the time, just know that if you're venting about the same thing, then they're going to tell you you need to change something, right? And you need to understand that if you are constantly venting about the same thing, then you're not doing anything to change it. And you have to work on changing the situation. And then one more thing about processing your feelings is journaling. And if you have not heard my journaling episode, go back and listen to it. It's a good episode. And, writing things on paper really helps you to release your stress, to release your anger, to release what it is that you're feeling, right? And sometimes it can be hard to do that. So many people have a hard time communicating. So writing can actually help you with that communication. So, guys, So, the final one that I have for today is volunteering and acts of kindness. Do something nice for someone you know, or do something nice for someone you don't know. Maybe there's a stranger who is out and needs help, right? Maybe someone in your job that you don't know them very well, but they need assistance with something. Maybe volunteering at a soup kitchen at the church or a homeless shelter or somewhere that is going to need volunteers, right? It's so it's so rewarding to hear at a soup kitchen or a homeless shelter. It makes you realize that, sometimes we think we have it bad, but then we see that other people have it worse off than we do, right? So, volunteering for that, volunteer your time, help a stranger, or do something for someone else. Maybe someone in your family, maybe the elders. I did a lot of volunteer and I still do volunteering twice a year. Um, but I used to go to assisted living, which is for the elderly. And I would go there during the holidays and I would take nice little treats and take like a cream, a hand cream, or something that, they can enjoy, like a little toy or something like that. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of elderly people who don't have family members, or their family members drop them off at the assisted living and they don't go visit them, and less during the holidays. So, going and taking food over there, sometimes we would cater food, take it to them, or we would bring, sweet treats and things like that. And, a foot cream, a hand cream, some gloves, or like I would make little jingle bells for the elderly. And some of them still have their right mind, and then some of them don't. So listening to the little bells, they would feel like they were little kids and things like that. And it would make me feel so good to be able to spend some time with them. I would talk with them, I would talk with some of them, ask them how they're doing, ask them if they had family members, and they would start talking about that. And, I remember one lady, I went to give her a gift of fuzzy socks with foot cream. And she told me, "Oh, no, don't worry. I don't need it." She was like, "Give it to someone else." She was like, "I've had everything I've ever wanted in my life." And I said, "I'm so happy that you had such a wonderful life." I said, "But we've separated this special gift just for you." And so she was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yes, every single one of you will have a special gift." And so she says, "Okay, in that case, I'll take it." And she was so beautiful. She had her hair done. She was dressed up. She had her nice little pumps, and she had her jewelry, and she's so funny. I said, "Okay, let's take a picture." And she says, "Yes, let's take a picture." And she went into her pocket and took out her red lipstick. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's so adorable." She says, "I cannot take a picture without my red lipstick." So we had a picture. We took the picture and I printed it out and I took it back so that she can have it because she said she wanted the picture of her and I. And so I took it back to her. And it was the sweetest thing. It may not have been really anything really big, but I was so, it made my heart feel good, basically. And so, volunteering, like I said, is such an amazing way to boost your system, to boost your heart, to make you feel good. And I suggest everybody go and do it. So, guys, this is part one of mental health. I will be having another episode, part two, with more coping toolbox mechanisms. So, that is the end of this episode. If you need help, text a friend or ask someone to sit with you. Call a family member. Call a friend you haven't talked to recently. Or you can call the warm line if you have no one else to reach out to. That number is 1-800-273-TALK, TALK. Or text hello, HELLO, to 741-741. And if you still need assistance with anxiety or depression, you can always get tested at mhascreening.org. Guys, I hope this has been a helpful episode. Please share this with others who may need this assistance. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you have a wonderful day. And again, please share this with others. Bye, guys.